Now, I've caught many politicians, super PACs, and political parties breaking the law over the past few years. And sometimes I try to keep you, my viewers, actually updated on the hundreds of these guys that I have caught breaking the law. But I want to apologize because I haven't reported much on this topic lately, so I'll try to make up for this deficiency today. Now, I recently caught my 316th politician who was actually fined $1,000 last week, and this was a good reminder for me to update you on my kind of long-running and endless effort to expose the truth. And it's a fun hobby that I have. Now, before we get into the lawbreakers who actually hold political office today, I want to remind you that my viewers to not forget to hit the like and the subscribe button down below if you have not already done so. The more you do this, the more visible our videos become to others, even when YouTube's attempting to shadow ban me. Also, feel free to comment down below if you have any suggestions, observations, or other comments about this video or our channel. I do try to actually read everything you write, and I often respond to the comments left on our videos. Now, back to the politicians that I've caught breaking the law. I know that if you're kind of new to the channel or you believe that I'm exaggerating my successful efforts to catch illegal activity by our elected officials or PACs or unions or judges or local political parties, I would actually encourage you to now go down to the link that I've included on my website down below, where I provide you a very comprehensive list of all the politicians who have been fined, sued, sanctioned, or litigated by state agencies, basically for their violations, originally starting with some of the original research and complaints that I filed against them. Now, as of the time of this video right now, as it's being produced, I've actually filed roughly a little over 850 complaints over the past few years, with now over 316 politicians, judges, PACs, or others who have been fined, again, litigated against, or sanctioned for violating Washington State's awesome campaign finance or ethics laws. So far, this has also included over $642,000 in fines, plus a few $1 million more in basically legal and compliance costs, which I really don't track that much detail. Now, I've caught them, I filed the complaints, and then these are the ones who our state agencies agreed broke the law. Now, obviously, I'm only scratching the surface here, but we have to start somewhere, and I generally include direct links in this article here, link down below again, that I provide the direct links to the original complaints and the final settlements, the lawsuits, or the sanction letters, usually from the AG's office or the Public Disclosure Commission or various political ethics boards. All source documents can be found there, and it is extensive with well over 1,000 original documents linked down below. So let's just go to last week and then talk about the most recent one that reminded me how deficient that I've been in actually keeping you updated on this ongoing effort and hobby of mine. Last week, based on a complaint that I had filed about a year ago against Washington State Representative Glen Morgan from the 29th Legislative District, located in the Tacoma area of Pierce County, this state legislator here, she finally agreed that she did indeed break the law and she had to pay a $1,000 fine. Now, by the way, despite sharing the same last name, I'm actually not aware of any family relationship with this legislator or myself. And by the way, just a little side note here, while I frequently catch hundreds of politicians and PACs breaking the law, it has become increasingly less common for me to catch high-profile legislators like this, because usually they actually hire professional treasurers who sorta, at times, kinda know the law, at least part of the time anyway. Now, I've caught many legislators over the years, but generally they're not as common for me to catch breaking the law these days as they were just a few years ago. Anyway, I originally caught her concealing the true source of thousands of dollars to her campaign and then making this cash kind of disappear from her campaign reporting over the past few election cycles. Her guilt was absolutely certain, particularly considering how screwed up her campaign reporting had been for years. So the only question that I had over the past year, waiting for the PDC to get around to this, was would they eventually get around to giving her a wrist slap fine, which is essentially what they did now last week. In July of this year, the Washington State Public Disclosure Commission also finally imposed fines on the current Pierce County Democrat auditor and 3 different pro-school tax levy committees against whom I'd actually filed a variety of complaints over the past year or so. Now, Pierce County Auditor Linda Farmer was actually fined $150 here for her botched campaign records and problems that I'd exposed in my original complaint last year. And then the 3 different school district pro-tax committees were also forced to pay fines. And it's most easy just to look at these here. The Clover Park Citizens for Schools PAC, they were fined $600. This group was located in Pierce County, just like Linda Farmer. Clear across the state, the Citizens for Spokane Schools PAC, they were fined $300, which was a slap on the wrist considering how much campaign finance cash and expenditures that they had concealed from the public. And then in the middle of the state, kind of down in the Tri-Cities area, the Kennewick Citizens Levy and Bond Committee, that PAC was also wrist-slapped with a $150 fine for their frequent lawbreaking. Now, in June, after a multi-year-long, drawn-out, very slow-walked, semi-serious investigation that the Public Disclosure Commission, they finally also fined a Seattle area failed Democrat legislative candidate in 37th Legislative District named Andrew Melvin, I think it's pronounced Ikichu Ashifo, for basically $500 for attempting to either falsifying his campaign finance expenditures or just simply taking far more than the legal limit to his campaign account. There's actually some lack of clarity here as to how the violation even happened. Now, I feel that this candidate was probably entirely unaware of how the process actually worked. He is actually an immigrant from Nigeria, and he has been seen proudly flying the trans flag at downtown Seattle rallies. But in this case, it really looks like his treasurer, if you read the report, it was just so bad that she essentially let him, or essentially directed him, to break the law. The PDC also took the unusual step here of directly fining his Democrat treasurer, Jeannie Legault, for $500 as well for her part in this illegal activity. Now, on top of these obvious violations, the PDC over the past few months, they've also issued another half dozen sanction letters to various groups ranging from Citizens for Lopez Island Solid Waste PAC up in the San Juan Islands to the Retired Public Employees Council of Washington PAC, among others. Now, most of these groups conceal the truth from the public, along with their law breaking, and they receive some naughty letters, essentially telling them to go and sin no more from the Public Disclosure Commission. And now listen, well, for many years it felt like I was the only one filing complaints like this around the state. I'm very happy to say that more and more other citizen watchdogs are also filing complaints, again, by the hundreds actually, against many other violators who I just didn't have the time to get to. Now, generally, the Public Disclosure Commission, they've been dragging out the process of sanctioning these groups, unless they're Republicans, of course, or Republican-leaning organizations, in which case they tend to get prioritized a bit higher and for a lot deeper dive by partisan staff to see if they can extract a bigger fine. However, due to the increased volume of complaints and the larger number of citizen watchdogs on the lawbreakers themselves, well, the fines against political insiders may still be wrist slaps. At least people are paying enough attention to catch them breaking the law and filing complaints to start the investigative process in the first place. Now, obviously, this is just a small sampling of the 316 that I've officially caught breaking the law, and I realize some of these violations are not as extreme or serious as the fraud investigations or other illegal activity by our bureaucrats and elected officials that I oftentimes get involved in. But it does help to start somewhere. And I have confidence that if I remain diligent, I can get to the 500 official violators caught kind of level. It's kind of a personal goal of mine before too long, and then move on from there. I'm not running out of lawbreakers in public office, but perhaps this is putting a slight damper on their blatantness when it comes to their law breaking. Only time's going to tell. Now, obviously, as I've explained many times in the past, I'm very happy to put on training courses for activists who actually want to help hold their elected officials a little bit more accountable in kind of a practical way that I believe will result in some type of official sanction or fines imposed when they're caught breaking the law. But this requires the ability to research, to investigate, and then draft the complaints themselves. Everything is a public record, and it's generally easy to track for yourself at pdc.wa.gov. And I really do encourage you to do so in order to get an idea on the types of violations that you're likely to uncover as well. You can see some of the ones I've done. There's no reason to let me have all the fun doing this. I don't have to just do it alone. And I'm encouraged that more people right now are already joining in the process, but there's plenty of opportunity for many people to get involved. Now, this is just one of many examples of what I think that you can do if you want to make an impact and expose the truth and be more engaged in local government today. Exposing the truth is not a bad place to start, even if it won't make you popular with the wine and cheese crowd at the local political party establishment. It might seem like a small thing at first, but it can grow into a much bigger impact over time. Everything counts in large amounts. However, if you want to make this type of impact, you're going to have to be willing to show up because, as I always say, the future belongs to those who show up.